Morning, folks. How are you? So we've talked about in this series so far, like trust, overcoming our fears. So now we're on the subject of, basically love and trust. So let's talk about this more. So what can be more frightening? This is where we left it yesterday. What can be more frightening than depending on someone else for your survival? As fearful adults, we ask the same questions as we did as a child. Will they go away and not come back? Will they stop loving me? Will they take care of me? Will they get sick and die? As adults, we ask these questions about our partners and often about our friends, our bosses, our parents, and even our children. People we fear genuinely can't give. That's an interesting one, eh? People we fear can't genuinely give. They're embedded with a deep-seated sense of scarcity in the world. Morning, Joanna. As if there wasn't enough to go around. Not enough love, not enough money, not enough praise, not enough attention. That's a classic one, eh? Not enough praise. As if there's not enough praise to go out in the world. Folk could just praise you every single day. You could praise yourself every single day as well by just looking in the mirror and saying, every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Simply not enough, is it? Usually, fear in one area of our lives generalizes and we become closed down and protective in many areas of our lives. Fearful people can be visualized as crouched and hunching themselves, whereas the image represents the inner state of all frightened people. The outer manifestations can take on many forms. I mean, successful businessmen and women needing their boss's approval. Housewives and house husbands who blame their partners and their children for the fact that they've never lived their own lives. That's a familiar one with some people. I know some people like that. Independent people and career women and men who demand so much of their partners that they often are alone. Men and women who can't tolerate their partner's independence. See that all the time. Company executives who make harmful, irresponsible decisions because they're doing it in their own best interests and not thinking about the bigger picture. They are all in some way operating out of the sense of fear for their own survival. They are all in effect crouched and withholding inside. If you recognize yourself in this description, join the rest of us. Welcome to the club. There are few in our society who have actually been taught the secrets of growing up and giving. We have all been taught the illusion of giving, but not actuality of giving. As we have been taught to be careful in terms of physical safety, we've also been taught not to let anyone con us or take advantage of us. As a result, unless we get something back, we feel used. That's an interesting one. I recognize myself in there somewhere in the past. As we've been taught to be careful in terms of our physical safety, we've also been taught not to let anyone to con us or take advantage of us. As a result, unless we have something back, we feel used. This is not to say that we can't enjoy what comes back to us. And paradoxically, when we give from a place of love, rather than from a place of expectation, more usually comes back to us than we could ever have imagined. But if we are constantly expecting, we will spend a great deal of our lives disappointed that the world isn't treating us right. We all know some people who think, I deserve it. They've got a right to it. We all know people like that. And this is exactly what we were talking about. When you think about it, I didn't find myself my way out of painful state until my mid-30s probably. When it finally dawned on me, no matter how much I had in my life, whether it be money, whether it be favor, whether it be things and possessions, it will never be enough. The more I had, the more I wanted. The more love, the more praise, more. Obviously something I was and wasn't going to do from keeping me from feeling unsatisfied. And worse, it was keeping me in a state of constant fear that everything I'd had would ultimately disappear and there'd be nothing left. Does this sound familiar for some of us? I saw everything as a preferable list of drink of water in the desert, and I hung on to it for dear life. It was time to try another way of being, since my old way was definitely not serving me right, or anyone else in my life. As I described earlier, I sought out many teachers and I got many answers. In essence, I learned that in order to get rid of the fear of lack, I had to do the opposite in order of what I had been doing up to now. Instead of hanging on to everything in dear life, I had to start releasing, letting go, and giving it away. If you think anything else, it is difficult. Wait until you try this one. It's really a catch-22. It's easy to give when you're feeling abundantly endowed, but it's only fear that the way when you give, not before. So it's easy to give when you feel abundantly endowed, but you only fear that when you give, not before. So feel the fear and do anyway. Again, let me remind you that what I'm presenting is a lifelong process that you can begin working on today. This is no magical potion as yet. It's amazing how long it takes to become a full-blown adult. In fact, one might consider a lifelong risk. I've been working on this for some years now, and I'm still working on it now. The good news, however, is that my sense of personal power, my ability to love and trust, has increased at least 1,000% since I've been practicing and giving it away. Many fears in the areas discussed have completely disappeared for me, and the rewards are monumental. I could promise you that for a fact. So give away thanks. It is so simple. Start by thinking about people presently in your life and significantly the ones in your past. Put their names on a sheet of paper. Then list what each one of them contributed to their own and you in your own special way. Even if they brought pain and dislike, list their contribution to your life. As we previously said about Lottie earlier, despite what she felt about her husband, there was so much that he had provided to her. Also, it's possible to even make a gift out of a negative. I mean, when I think about the people in my past, ultimately the one that was at Tillis Russell, the boss that continuously bullied me all the time, pushed me to a point where I actually left to a job that doubled my salary, gave me a company car, and made my manager overnight. And I thank him for that every time I see him. I've not seen him yet, but I'll thank him right now. So thanks very much, Colin. I appreciate that. So even if you perceive that someone has mistreated you, find the lessons you learned from them and put the contribution on your list. And we'll talk about that more so tomorrow. Morning, Louise. Morning, Margaret. How are you?